How's it going, everyone? Adrian here. Welcome back to the channel. And hey, as a follow-up video from last week, I put out a Warhammer Odyssey impressions video and also talking about, Warhammer doesn't have a live service MMORPG now. And someone asked me recently, Warhammer aside, what other big, well-known fantasy IPs out there do not have live service MMORPGs? And I thought that's actually a pretty great question, and maybe I've done that video a long time ago, I can't remember, but I thought I'd share that question with you guys and we can answer it together while I sit here in Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. I can't really play because of this lot of lag tonight. A review may or may not be coming, stay tuned. But anyway, let's get to that question. Which other large fantasy IPs out there do not have live service MMORPGs? Let's get to it. Now, honestly, there's so many fantasy IPs out there across television, movies, novels, comics, you name it. There's something out there that has a huge cult following that could possibly be made into an MMORPG if it hasn't been already. Off the top of my head, you think of some of the well-known franchises. Lord of the Rings, yes. Star Trek Online, yes. Star Wars The Old Republic, Dungeons & Dragons Online, Neverwinter as well. The Elder Scrolls, Age of Conan, Warcraft, of course, Final Fantasy. The list goes on and on. However, when we really look into it and think about the other stuff out there, the most obvious one that comes to mind is Game of Thrones, George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire. We've seen the series, we've read the books, played a couple of shitty PC games, one really bad mobile game, and that's about it, really. At this point, I don't think there will ever be another open world Game of Thrones game, let alone an MMORPG, but hey, I'll gladly eat my beanie live on stream if it was ever announced in the future. They didn't strike while the iron was super hot, so there's no reason to think they'll do it now or in the future when the series is kinda over. The next thing I can think of is Dune, which is well beloved by many, and also, I'm sure most of you know this, but in case you didn't, Funcom has some sort of Dune IP for a video game, and they announced a couple of years ago that they were gonna make some kind of MMO. But there's been radio silence ever since, and I've been checking the Funcom financial reports just to see what's being made or if there's any new game coming out. And Dune was mentioned a couple of times, I think, over the last year, and the direction it's going, I think it could be a survival type MMO. I'm not too sure, I'll have to double check on that. But we do know something Dune is coming, so that's worth a wait at least if you're a fan of Dune. Now, for the younger generation out there, and I'm talking about maybe the superhero franchise, DC Universe Online is an MMORPG based on the DC Universe of Heroes comics. Marvel used to have an MMO called Marvel Heroes, but that got shut down. So there is an empty space for a Marvel MMORPG. However, I think the Marvel Games division is more invested in making co-op open world RPGs like we see currently being made under Square Enix with the Avengers and now Guardians of the Galaxy as well. So I don't think they'll give an MMORPG a second crack, although, me personally being a Marvel fan would love to see it. In the magical fantasy space, we have Harry Potter, of course, but I'm not sure if that will translate well into an MMORPG. I believe there is an open world RPG being made, but I just don't see how this will translate well into a full-fledged MMORPG. There's something called Potterverse that exists, and I can't remember too much about it. I must have dabbled with it when I was really young, but it's out there if you want to check it out. Or for something similar, hey, Wizards 101 exists, and that's kind of like Harry Potter, I guess. If we're looking over at the tabletop games that could be translated into MMORPGs, the last thing we got recently was Magic Legends, but that isn't really an MMORPG like we all thought it was going to be when they first announced it end of 2019 at the Game Awards. It turned out to be more of a co-op hack and slash top-down ARPG, but that's fine, I suppose. It sure does have the potential to be an MMORPG, but too late for that. For me personally, other fantasy franchises out there in terms of video games that I think has the potential to be good MMORPGs are BioWare's Dragon Age, maybe even Mass Effect. I think that'll be cool. And then we've got The Witcher as well. And if we want to look to the Far East in Japan, where I don't have a whole lot of knowledge about, there are fantasy franchises over there. If I were to steal a couple of their games to be made into MMOs, Resident Evil would be one, although who knows, the world could be sick of zombies. Devil May Cry is another one. But my ultimate wish is to see some form of horror genre make it as an MMORPG, and I'm not sure how many of you guys have played this board game. It's called Arkham Horror, and it's a classic. I love it. It's very Lovecraftian. I've played it a lot, and that's the kind of game I would love to see become an MMORPG with interesting quests, stories, and everything. oh wait, we do have Secret World or Secret World Legends, which is kind of the same thing, Lovecraftian, urban legend, that kind of thing. But it's had its chance and Funcom ran it to the ground, so I'd like to see another IP try it out. So that's me. What about you guys? What other fantasy IPs out there that you love or follow or are a fan of that don't have MMORPGs and you think would make a pretty good one? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And hey, if you got more ideas for opinion videos, just leave them in the comments. Meantime, hit that like button and feel free to subscribe to the channel for more MMO content. Once again, I'm Adrian, and I thank you for watching.